Today we'll talk about the concept of mental models. Mental models are those paradigms of thinking, those structures of thinking that people carry with themselves and businesses carry with themselves, their own business processes, the way they have been doing business, the way they have been successful in the past, and they think that this is what uh, generates success and get stuck with it. And it actually hampers their further progress. Up comes some runaway upstart and just pulls the rug from underneath the feet of these established players and creates, and not only takes away market share from them, but creates a completely new market. And this is what we're going to talk about. Take the example of Swiss watch manufacturers. Swiss watch manufacturing industry had close to 90% market share, global market share in the 60s. Today, languishing and barely at around 8 to 10%. Why? The Swiss manufacturers did not realize the importance of the quartz technology, which came about in the 60s. Uh, the Japanese just cashed on this quartz technology, and the rest is history. Made available cheaper watches, and the rest is history. Right now, who do you think invented quartz technology? Japanese? Oh, sorry, it was a Swiss engineer who actually invented quartz technology, and he went around talking to all the Swiss watch manufacturers, urging them to buy his patent that he had created out of this quartz technology. Uh, none, I repeat, none of the Swiss manufacturers heard him out, leave alone buying his patent. The Japanese came along and cashed in on that invention, and Casio, Seiko just took away the market share from the Swiss people, from the Swiss industry. What happened to what were the thinking in which the Swiss manufacturers got stuck into? Swiss manufacturers had grown up on the feeling that a watch means a mechanical watch with tens of precision gears, finely engineered precision gears. Swiss manufacturers used to pride themselves in saying that, oh, we manufacture those small, tiny gears which get enmeshed into each other into a watch, creating accuracies of plus minus 2 seconds every couple of years. That's the level of accuracy that they would talk about. The Swiss engineering industry, machine tool industry, had developed big time because of this, the demand for precision gears from the watch industry, and the Swiss watch manufacturers had grown with that mindset that a timepiece without any moving components cannot be called a timepiece. That's what they thought. That's what they believed in. When this quartz technology came about and the scientists went around showing this technology, they probably questioned. They probably thought that, oh, this thing doesn't have any moving components. How can it be called a watch? It's not possible. Sorry, we don't. We wouldn't even look at it. And the Japanese just slapped it up, and here where we stand, down from close to 90% global market share to barely about 8% today. And mind you, out of those 8 or 10% of the global market share that the Swiss manufacturers have, 90% comes from Swatch, a Swiss manufacturer who uses quartz technology and does not manufacture mechanical watches. So mechanical watches global market share, what? Hardly 0.8%. Think about it. That's what constrained thinking does to you. Take the example of French wine industry. Same thing. Till the 70s, market share about close to 80% global market share. Today, barely 10-12%. Spain, Portugal, California, and now to an extent India too has made forays into the market and slumped away the market share from French wine industry. French got stuck in their traditions. Oh, grapes from Provence, grapes from Champagne. They're great wine, grape crushing sessions, grape crushing seasons, and all that kind of tradition, etc., etc., etc. All these other people came along and just swept the market share with what people wanted and not what the French manufacturers wanted to give. There's a difference. Take, for example, Motorola. Motorola supposedly the pioneers in mobile telephony. Invented mobile telephony way back in the 60s. Up came an upstart in the 80s called Nokia and just picked up, created a new market which actually rightfully belonged to Motorola. Motorola started somewhere founded somewhere in the 1910s, 1920s, manufacturing sound transmission equipment, be it wirelesses, be it telephones, etc., etc., various sound equipment. They were the pioneers in mobile telephony, and from the 60s they spent time doing R&D on trying to improve the sound transmission quality. Now, in came Nokia and understood that for a telephone call to be complete, what the caller speaks has to be understood by the listener, and what the listener speak in turn has to be understood by the caller. It doesn't need great sound quality, which Motorola was trying to figure out in its labs. They were caught up in their pursuit of the perfect modulation for transmission, the perfect amplitude for transmission, the perfect frequency for transmission, and the efficiency of the transmission reception gadgetry, etc., etc., etc. Nokia just understood that a phone call becomes complete when I am heard and when I am able to speak into the phone and my listener gets to know what I am speaking. That's all that is needed to make a complete telephone call. And they just launched their mobile handset without really bothering too much about great transmission quality, reception quality, etc., etc., etc. And that's where we stand today. Nokia, number one globally. Motorola barely fourth or fifth, somewhere down the hierarchy. That's what happens when you get stuck with your thinking. Motorola prided themselves by calling themselves, we are sound engineers. We are sound engineers. Nokia just understood that for a telephone call to be complete, I need to be heard. That's it. And the rest is all in front of you for you to see. That's what getting caught in the thinking that one has, which C.K. Prahlad now calls as dominant logic of a sector, of an industry, of business, vertical, is what hampers innovation, hampers change in that industry. Some upstart comes and understands this, questions basic parameters of doing business, questions the basic processes of the business, questions the basic fundamentals of doing business in that sector and creates new rules. Not just takes away the market share from these existing big brands, but creates new markets. So many examples abound. Just be open to these kinds of things. Students, from your point of view, your students' point of view, that's from your point of view, please be open to these questions. Challenge existing ways of doing business. Challenge the basic. Understand business at a very basic fundamental level. How and why people buy from you is the question that you need to ask. What are the options available for them? Not necessarily from your sector alone. The options could be from other sectors. Like, for example, if you want to spend a good time on a Saturday evening, and I am in the restaurant business, who would my competition be? My competition is not just other restaurants, because you as a user have multiple choices. You could choose to spend time at my restaurant or eating out, or you could just take away food and spend time in front of the television at home, or you could go for a movie, you could go gaming, you could go pubbing. So all these people become my competitors. But conventionally, what you would think as your competition, as a restaurant owner, is other restaurants. Restaurants barriers, transcend those industry barriers, transcend those sectoral barriers which typical management schooling has taught you guys. Thank you very much.